several days later, the prince's wedding that Rose had spoken of finally arrived. That day, the entire Nash Kingdom was decked out in festive decorations. They were particularly fond of the color red for their celebrations, perhaps because such vibrant hues were hard to come by in the gloomy underground. Yet alongside red, they also used black and white, creating a striking contrast that colored the entire kingdom. Zhang Yi came out with Rose to watch. He too wished to witness how a wedding was conducted in the underground world. The prince's wedding was Nash Kingdom's grandest ceremony, drawing the entire populace out into the streets. Zhang Yi led Rose to a high vantage point in the city, quietly awaiting the ceremony's commencement. It was around 6 in the evening. Since time here was not divided into day and night, Zhang Yi could only gauge the hour through his intelligent system. Yet the sky remained shrouded in red mist, illuminating the entire Nash Kingdom. Amidst the fervent excitement of Nash's three-eyed clan, a distant, majestic horn call suddenly echoed in Zhang Yi's ears. He followed the sound and saw a vast procession slowly emerging from the opposite end. The horn's call echoed, accompanied by the sounds of various unrecognizable instruments, their music reverberating across the sky. Within the hazy mist, the grand and magnificent wedding procession advanced slowly, heading toward the direction of the Divine Spirit Temple. Zhang Yi saw enormous red parasols, dozens of meters tall, obscuring the sky, while hundreds of members of the three-eyed clan clad in bizarre attire led the way ahead. Following them was an enormous carriage, swaying leisurely toward the front. Seated within the carriage was Jinazuo, the eldest daughter of Grand Duke Geru, one of the central figures in today's grand wedding. Zhang Yi could only describe her as enormous. She wore a wedding gown of black and crimson, her face painted with some pigment so white it was eerie, yet her lips were as red as blood. Even seated in the carriage, the bride towered over 10 meters tall, her massive frame significantly larger than the average three-eyed clan member. The wedding procession played music and made noise, the eerie sound of long horns shaking the soul. For some reason, though it looked festive, it made Zhang Yi feel extremely uneasy. Woo! At that moment, another wedding procession appeared at the other end of the stone bridge. The two processions were of comparable scale. Zhang Yi scanned the other group, eager to catch a glimpse of the Nash Kingdom prince. But after searching for a long while, he found no one who resembled a groom. He asked Rose, but she wasn't entirely sure either. Zhang Yi thought to himself, perhaps the prince, upon marrying, was to wait for the bride's arrival at the Divine Spirit Temple. The two grand processions finally met upon the stone bridge, and the cheers of residents of the Nash Kingdom reached a fever pitch. Suddenly, the music played by both processions shifted in rhythm. From its initial deep and distant tones, it abruptly became urgent and exhilarating. Woohoo! Cheers echoed across the Nash Kingdom, piercing the heavens. At that very moment, all color drained from Rose's small face. Gripping Zhang Yi's arm nervously, she looked at him with utter despair. Run! Run now! Zhang Yi was utterly bewildered. Why? Rose, what's happening? Rose's voice trembled as she forced out the words with great effort. The entire city is being sacrificed in a blood ritual. A blood sacrifice for the entire city. Hearing these words sent a chill down Zhang Yi's spine. What does that mean? Are they saying the prince's wedding requires slaughtering every person in Nash Kingdom? Rose nervously tugged at Zhang Yi's sleeve, shaking her head frantically. No! It's not the three-eyed clan they want to kill, it's us humans. Zhang Yi could already see the impatient three-eyed clan members in Nash Kingdom grabbing their swords, spears, and clubs, charging toward every corner of the city. They crouched low, searching everywhere for traces of humans. Those who had sneaked out to watch the commotion during the prince's wedding were caught off guard and brutally slaughtered. Some even wielded specialized tools, long, slender spear-like devices, akin to harpoons, designed to pierce clean through a human body with a single thrust. They would then impale the victim like skewered meat on their spear, continuing their hunt for the next human. The entire Nash Kingdom was now engulfed in a chilling, frenzied atmosphere. Zhang Yi frowned, quickly shielding Rose and hiding her in a spot where she wouldn't be discovered. Only then did he ask, "What's going on here?" "Don't be afraid. I'm here. No one can hurt you. Rose was now pale as a sheet, her entire body trembling. After Zhang Yi's reassurance, she finally spoke slowly. Every so many time, Nash Kingdom conducts a purge of the humans within the city. It usually happens either when humans reproduce too rapidly and their numbers become uncontrollable, or when a major festival arrives. We humans call this ritual the Citywide blood sacrifice. On this day, all humans in Nash Kingdom lose their protection and can be brutally slaughtered at will. Zhang Yi was taken aback. Oh? So you're protected on other days? Rose shook her head. Wild humans have no rights. But some humans, who provide labor for them, receive some protection. Zhang Yi took a deep breath. How long has this been going on? I don't know. This ritual has existed since I was born. I've only experienced it twice, this is the second time. Within the shadow space, biological expert Zhou Kir offered her analysis. It's to control human populations. Humans adapt too readily to their environment, like cockroaches, they're nearly impossible to eradicate completely. So they conduct periodic purges, ensuring some always survive. Zhang Yi cradled Rose, his ears filled with the agonized screams of his kind. His eyes narrowed slowly. Just as I suspected. The big one is coming. He had been contemplating how to stir up unrest in Nash Kingdom to draw out their high-level combat forces. Now, the opportunity was right before him. A citywide blood sacrifice, the entire Nash Kingdom mobilizing to purge humanity. With that, the hundreds of elite fighters from the Undertaker's team couldn't remain hidden. Conflict was inevitable. Zhang Yi thought for a moment before saying to Rose, "Rose, I'll send you to a safe place. It's full of your kind." Rose's face lit up with delight. Is it the temple of the human god religion? Zhang Yi nodded with a smile. He then instructed Mu Yan to open the entrance to the shadow space and placed Rose inside. Afterward, Zhang Yi instructed Zhou Kir and the others to take good care of her. The moment she entered the shadow space, Rose gazed in astonishment and curiosity at the humans around her, dressed in peculiar attire. Among them were members of Zhang Yi's team and the private soldiers of the Paji family led by Zhangda. Her eyes gradually brightened. The divine messenger of the human god religion has come to save us. Within the Nash Kingdom, Zhang Yi stood atop a high vantage point, looking down upon the Nash Kingdom built within a vast abyss. The scene here could be aptly described as a living hell. All the three-eyed clan were hunting humans like madmen, tearing through the land. They violently chiseled open every cave in the ground, even smashing walls and dismantling beams to capture humans. To them, humans were like rats, masters of hiding. Yet humans were also a rare delicacy in their eyes. Normally, only the nobility of Nash Kingdom's upper class could enjoy such a feast. Zhang Yi silently observed the unfolding chaos within the city. He knew the turmoil had begun, so why not fan the flames further? He retrieved a sniper rifle from his dimensional space. Perched high above, he raised his sniper rifle and began hunting down the three-eyed clan members. His hunting target was simple: any three-eyed clan member that appeared within his field of vision was fair game. Though these creatures possessed their own civilization, they were fundamentally not his kind. Killing them wouldn't weigh on his conscience in the slightest. Poof! 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 His reload speed was lightning fast, each bullet piercing the three-eyed clan's skulls. The minuscule bullets, compared to the three-eyed clan's massive bodies, were as slender as embroidery needles, as small as ant eggs. But every single one was laced with poison. It was originally a poison that would kill instantly upon contact with blood, but their enormous size meant it took a while to take effect before death. Because of this, the bullet struck members of the three-eyed clan only felt as if their heads had been bitten by some insect. They paid it no mind whatsoever, instead continuing their excited hunt for humans. But within less than 30 seconds, the toxin began spreading through their bloodstream, swiftly claiming their lives. Gradually, more and more members of the three-eyed clan collapsed onto the streets. Boom! One by one, bodies as massive as small mountains collapsed. At first, no one paid attention, assuming they'd simply tripped in their haste. After all, how could someone die while hunting a pack of rats? But gradually, someone finally noticed something was terribly wrong. As more and more fell, those who turned their bodies over discovered they were already dead. Ah! A woman hunting with a frying pan let out a terrified scream. What's happening? Why are people dying? Could it be those hairless rats? Impossible. Such weak creatures wouldn't dare resist, they couldn't possibly have the power to kill us. Before the words had even finished echoing, the man felt a sharp pain in his temple, like being pricked by a needle. He reached up to touch it, and a thin trail of blood appeared on his hand. He didn't pay it much mind. Just as he was about to take a step forward, he stumbled twice, and then everything went completely dark. His entire body crashed heavily to the ground. The war between humans and the Three-Eyed Clan had begun in Nash Kingdom. Strictly speaking, however, it was the war between outsiders like Zhang Yi and the Three-Eyed Clan that had commenced. The local humans had long since lost the courage to resist. After years of being preyed upon and facing an overwhelming physical size difference, they dared not fight back. Even when seized by the Three-Eyed Clan, they would only tremble in fear, unable to muster the courage to bite back. Yet Zhang Yi, the Undertaker, Gao Changkong, and the Knights of the Round Table stood as exceptions. They possessed sufficient power to confront these giants. Fierce clashes erupted across Nash Kingdom. Zhang Yi wasn't the only one fighting, others were engaged as well. Yet a stark difference existed between their approaches. Zhang Yi possessed the ability to snipe from extreme ranges and move with remarkable agility. Those he killed never knew where their assailant had been, even in their final moments. Zhang Yi treated all members of the Three-Eyed Clan equally, showing no mercy based on strength, gender, or age. Any member of the Three-Eyed Clan he spotted was killed without mercy or compassion. From the moment he witnessed them feeding on humans, Zhang Yi understood that peaceful coexistence between the two races was impossible. This was no longer about justice or morality, it was a brutal struggle for survival. Zhangde and the others could observe everything happening outside within the shadow space. Zhangde addressed Zhang Yi, Lord Chaos, please let us join the battle. As the Paji family's most elite warriors, they had earned the privilege of accompanying Zhang Yi into the abyss of demons. Even against the formidable Three-Eyed Clan soldiers, they possessed the strength to fight. Yet Zhang Yi firmly refused their request. Your presence outside now would only complicate matters. There's no need to rush. Your time to shine will come. Even Zhang Yi himself wasn't exerting his full strength, he was probing the depths of Nash Kingdom's power. As for Zhangde and his comrades, merely cannon fodder, they were essentially disposable assets, meant to be deployed at critical moments to sow chaos. Naturally, they had to be used sparingly. Hearing this, Zhangde and the others felt Zhang Yi was concerned for their safety, and their hearts swelled with gratitude. Zhang Yi couldn't care less about that. He was reveling in the thrill of the kill right now, each shot claiming a head. His concealment was impeccable. Even if Nash Kingdom's elite noticed something amiss, they couldn't pinpoint his location. Elsewhere, Zhang Yi sensed the presence of the Undertaker and his group. After all, when their supernatural abilities erupted, the force was too conspicuous to ignore. The Undertaker, Gao Changkong, and Lancelot, along with other members of the Knights of the Round Table, were all locked in fierce combat with Nash Kingdom's mutants. Only Zhang Yi avoided direct confrontation, silently picking off members of the Three-Eyed Clan one by one from his elevated vantage point. Soon, the death toll at his hands surpassed 1,000. He operated with extreme caution, moving locations after every few shots to avoid concentrated hunting in one spot. This also minimized the risk of detection by Nash Kingdom's elite fighters. Unlike Zhang Yi's effortless elegance, the other teams were far from comfortable at this moment. Originally, they too had been lurking within Nash Kingdom, waiting for their chance to strike. But once the blood sacrifice across the entire city began, every resident of Nash Kingdom would dig through the earth, greedily searching for those delicious morsels of flesh. Now, they were forced into action. Especially the monk soldiers of Sangha Temple, who already viewed Nash as demons and harbored deep hatred. Upon witnessing the slaughter of humans, they chose to strike first. War erupted in multiple locations. Though at a physical disadvantage, the powerful mutants, relying on their supernatural abilities and superior weaponry, managed to slaughter a significant number of Nash Kingdom citizens. The Nash Kingdom, seemingly unprepared for human counterattacks, suffered heavy losses among its citizens and soldiers. News of this reached the Divine Spirit Temple swiftly. Within the royal palace, seated upon the throne was a strikingly youthful member of the Three-Eyed Clan. His features were somewhat delicate, his eyes narrow and piercing. A green tail casually draped over the armrest, one hand propping up his cheek, he listened quietly to his subordinate's report. During the blood sacrifice festival across the city, our people were unexpectedly counterattacked by hairless rodents. Among them were peculiar ones clad in finely crafted armor and wielding weapons of considerable lethality. They inflicted significant casualties on our soldiers. Beneath the throne, a military commander knelt with his head bowed low, reporting to Prince Nash Amlet seated upon it. His massive frame cast a vast shadow across the palace floor. Even with his head lowered, he looked no shorter than Prince Amlet. This prince of the Nash Kingdom was considerably smaller than the average Three-Eyed Clan, standing only a little over 5 meters tall. Yet his physique was more slender and proportioned, lacking the commander's robust build. Instead, he possessed a natural, innate beauty. The royal bloodline of Nash Kingdom bore exceptionally distinct traits. They were born with smaller frames yet possessed vastly greater strength. No one dared underestimate them because of their size. Prince Amlet, in particular, had displayed extraordinary talent since birth. At merely 7 years old, he defeated multiple masters and teachers, becoming a renowned and formidable warrior throughout the Nash Kingdom. Amlet listened quietly to the soldier commander's report. His gaze was cold, his face seemingly incapable of any expression. Ignoring the commander kneeling before him, he turned his gaze to an elderly figure standing in another direction, a man with silver hair and a slightly stooped posture. "Grand Sage, have you heard of these hairless rodents?" The sage was the most knowledgeable person in all of Nash Kingdom, overseeing the National Library and possessing profound knowledge of hidden histories and scholarship. Hearing Prince Amlet's question, he bowed his head and replied, "Your Highness, many years ago, these hairless rodents served us, seeking our power while offering their flesh and loyalty. In return, we bestowed upon them the strength of the Three-Eyed Clan. They learned to wield weapons in battle and have remained our servants to this day. However," he lifted the spectacles perched on his nose, "such a thing has never been recorded in the books. I must return and consult the texts thoroughly, to see if I have overlooked it." Prince Amlet was relaxed. "Oh, then take your time with that. I'm quite interested in these creatures." With that, he waved to the commander of the soldiers below, "This is my wedding day. The city must be stabilized immediately. Go fetch General Chile Duhan. Have him bring men to clean up those hairless rats." After issuing his final orders, Prince Amlet rose from his throne and began walking toward the rear. A servant attending him hurriedly interjected, "Your Highness Amlet, Miss Janajua is awaiting your presence." Amlet shot him a cold glance and replied indifferently, "It matters not. Let her wait. I merely require a woman to crown me king." With graceful strides, he ascended to the higher levels of the Divine Spirit Temple. "Once I absorb the sacred substance, I shall become a warrior at the level of our ancestors recorded in the annals of history. At that time," he lifted his head, gazing at the soaring dome, "I will ascend beyond the dome to the world above and see what the heavens and earth there are like." The court attendant bowed flatteringly. "Your Highness Amlet, you shall be the greatest king that the Nash Kingdom has seen in 1,000 years." Amlet traversed the serpentine corridor to the highest level of the Divine Spirit Temple. Pushing open a huge bronze door, blinding crimson light flooded his vision. Upon a colossal altar, a red gemstone floated silently mid-air. The surging power it contained made Amlet's eyes blaze with intense light. "Is this the legendary spirit of sacrifice? I thought it existed only in ancient chronicles, a mythical entity. I never imagined it would actually manifest before my eyes." The servant replied, The sage once said that countless ages ago, our ancestors relied upon it to establish the Nash Kingdom. Your Highness, rest assured. The harmful substances within have been purged. Amlet stared at the massive crimson gem before him with mesmerized eyes. He raised his hand. Before even touching it, he felt an immense power surge through him. The next moment, his expression hardened back into cold detachment. He turned to the servant and ordered, "Leave. Until I've absorbed the spirit of sacrifice, no one is to disturb me, no matter what happens outside." A cold glint flashed in his eyes. "Whoever dares interrupt me shall be executed on the spot." The chamberlain swallowed hard. The words of this cold-blooded, powerful prince were never a joke. "As you command, Your Highness." "No. Your Majesty." The servant retreated step by step, exiting the grand hall. The massive bronze doors then closed slowly and heavily. Within Nash Kingdom, the battle between humans and the three-eyed clan grew increasingly fierce. These beings, who normally regarded humans as livestock, faced fierce resistance for the first time. They were caught off guard, as if humans were mounting an organized assault like rats. Yet even rats, fighting with a death-defying resolve, could inspire fear. The monk soldiers led by the Undertaker, the Garuda tribe including Gao Changkong, and the Knights of the Round Table commanded by Lancelot all clashed head-on with the three-eyed clan. In the shadows lurked Zhang Yi, a sinister figure who swiftly eliminated targets. He took down one young soldier after another with a single shot, vanishing without a trace after each kill. No one could even catch a glimpse of his shadow. Those present represented humanity's most elite forces, their combat prowess and weaponry far surpassing ordinary soldiers. Having grasped the three-eyed clan's characteristics, they swiftly gained the upper hand on the battlefield. After all, they wore cutting-edge combat suits and wielded various firearms. Their enemies, however, were mostly three-eyed clan members armed with primitive weapons like swords, spears, and clubs. A counter-massacre commenced. On the Knights of the Round Table's side, the private soldiers and mercenaries of the La Men family wore grins of pure satisfaction, their faces twisted into savage expressions. Watching the towering giants before them flee in all directions, driven by their weapons, their hearts swelled with pride. Ha ha ha. These creatures are no different from humans except for their size. What underground tribe? Just a bunch of savages. Kill, kill, kill. Having witnessed the horrors of the three-eyed clan hunting humans, they showed no mercy. Even the largest three-eyed clan members were quickly riddled with holes when faced with the concentrated fire of over a dozen state-of-the-art assault rifles. Boom! 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 One after another, the corpses of the three-eyed clan piled up like small mountains on the ground. The streets were filled with fleeing members of the three-eyed clan, their eyes filled with terror. They couldn't comprehend why a group of hairless rats dared to resist their hunt, and even managed to kill them. Meanwhile, other mutants had already leapt onto the high rooftops, setting fires throughout the city. The buildings here were constructed using primitive methods, primarily stone, wood, and straw. Once the flames ignited, they blazed fiercely, swiftly spreading along both sides of the streets. In a moment, the entire street was engulfed in towering flames, the three-eyed clan's screams piercing the air. There was no mercy, no thought of sparing lives. This was a battle between two tribes, a blood feud forged over millennia. The moment the Demon Kingdom's doors opened, it was destined that only one side could survive. Otherwise, sooner or later, they too would march through the Demon Kingdom's gates toward the snowy region. Then, the snowy region too would face a terrifying, desperate abyss. Kill! 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 Everyone was blinded by bloodlust. Even the monk soldiers of Sangha Temple, in the name of their faith, openly began slaughter. And just as they were killing, burning, and destroying everything in their path, the earth beneath their feet suddenly began to tremble. A soldier's body trembled. His gaze fell to the ground, where he saw dust particles pulsing in rhythmic waves. Even the pool of blood pooled from the nearby three-eyed clan rippled continuously. He instinctively lifted his head to look ahead. Emerging from the crimson sea of blood and fire were massive dark monsters. These creatures were noticeably more robust than the average three-eyed clan member. Armed with uniform, slender spear-like weapons and clad in pitch-black metallic armor, they marched down the street in perfect, synchronized formation. The Nash Kingdom army had finally arrived. Though the Nash Kingdom, with its population of hundreds of thousands, maintained only a standing army of 5,000, each of these soldiers possessed formidable combat prowess. Their physical conditioning and fighting ability far surpassed that of ordinary three-eyed clan members. Only a few hundred soldiers appeared on this street. Witnessing their comrades being hunted down by a pack of hairless rats, these three-eyed clan soldiers were instantly enraged. A soldier from the three-eyed clan raised his spear, aiming it at the human soldier still standing in a daze before him. Whoosh! A cold gleam shot from the spearhead, piercing through his neck in the next instant. The human soldiers, realizing the true test had arrived, faced a professional army whose combat prowess and equipment were far beyond what ordinary men could match. Charge! 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 No words were needed now. Both sides sought to take each other's lives. The two armies, one large and one small, launched their charge toward each other. The head-on collision dealt a devastating blow to the human elite soldiers. Just as Zhang Yi had witnessed earlier, though human weapons were superior, soldiers unable to carry heavy weaponry found their firearms utterly ineffective against the three-eyed clan's primitive metal armor. Bullets could only strike their knees, causing pain that left them unable to stand straight. Yet every soldier from the three-eyed clan functioned as an enhanced mutant with an ability index of over 3,000. Not to mention that there were also warriors among them who possessed special abilities. With their physical prowess already formidable, the addition of these abilities elevated their strength to an entirely different tier. Though the human soldiers outnumbered their opponents, they collapsed instantly upon contact. Ordinary soldiers were treated like rats, skewered like kebabs. Only the powerful mutants could still put up desperate resistance using their abilities. Lancelot and the others, observing the battlefield coldly from their elevated position, frowned. These guys are useless. I thought they might create some chaos and draw out Nash Kingdom's stronger fighters. Who knew they couldn't even handle ordinary soldiers? Creating chaos and finding an opportunity to enter the Divine Spirit Temple, that is what we must focus on now. He lifted his gaze toward the colossal palace beneath the dome. A powerful intuition told him that within lay what he sought on this journey. That feeling was exactly like when he had entered Atlantis. Begin. Purge this place. Lancelot commanded. The members of the Knights of the Round Table beside him wore expressions ranging from cold indifference to cruel smiles as they leapt down one after another. Finally, they could unleash their full fury. The three-eyed clan soldiers were still enthusiastically hunting down the humans before them when suddenly, their movements grew heavy beneath their feet. It felt as though something had wrapped around their calves, making every step a struggle. Glancing down, they saw the entire street had transformed into a vast swamp. Their heavy bodies sank slowly into the mire. What is this? The soldiers of the three-eyed clan frantically struggled, but the harder they fought, the faster they sank. Mordred watched them from a distance, a cold smile on his face. Those trapped in the swamp sink faster the more they struggle, you know. This was his ability, Muddy Swamp, which could transform any scene into a swamp. Caught off guard by this ability, the three-eyed clan soldiers frantically thrashed about in their frantic struggle. Boom! At that very moment, a series of explosions erupted from the massive buildings lining both sides of the street. Giant trees suddenly burst forth from the blazing walls. The Green Nai, Bowser, an extremely rare trait type, was a plant-type ability user, capable of summoning massive trees for combat. A green figure leapt from the sky, swiftly stepping across these trees as it swept horizontally past the three-eyed clan soldier. Swish! A blinding white light sliced sharply through space. Puff! The massive heads of over a dozen three-eyed clan soldiers flew high into the air, blood spurting skyward. At the other end of the street, the shining knight, Lan Malik, clad in silver combat armor, landed gracefully. Her sword pointed toward the ground, a single drop of blood slowly trickling down. The Knights of the Round Table's intervention swiftly tilted the battle in humanity's favor. After all, the Knights of the Round Table now represented one of humanity's most elite combat units. Seeing the dire situation, slain Three-Eyed Clan soldiers immediately retrieved flares and launched them skyward. The yellow fireworks blazed vividly against the reddish sky. The soldiers of the Three-Eyed Clan who were still searching nearby streets for the human soldiers saw this and immediately sped up their pace toward the area. But ordinary soldiers, and even some powerful mutants who arrived here, quickly became corpses under the hands of the Knights of the Round Table. The streets burned fiercely, the massive corpses of the Three-Eyed Clan soldiers filling the road. Among them were formidable commanders. Lancelot trampled their corpses, his gaze fixed on the distant Divine Spirit Temple. Still no movement from the temple? Perhaps it's time to deploy some capable individuals? As if responding to his words. At the end of the street, a pair of black military boots slowly emerged. Bang! The footsteps seemed to pound on everyone's hearts. Lancelot lifted his head, his gaze defiant and cold as he stared ahead. From the corner of the second floor, they saw a deathly pale face and a pair of pitch-black, shadowy eyes. It was a colossal member of the Three-Eyed Clan, towering over 20 meters tall. Even among his kind, his height was nearly double that of others. Yet his features weren't hideous. Judged by human standards, he could even be called handsome. His fair, handsome face bore skin as pale as if afflicted by albinism, with silver hair cascading down to his waist. He wasn't clad in the black iron armor typical of Three-Eyed Clan soldiers. Instead, his upper body was bare, draped only in a long cloak. In his right hand, he gripped a massive two-handed battle sword, dragging it along the street with a shrill scraping sound, sparks flying everywhere. That blade was less a sword than a pillar, its edges merely sharpened to a thin edge. Yet none doubted that when it chopped through a man, he would either be cleaved in two or smashed into mincemeat. General Chile Duhan of Nash Kingdom's Royal Guard, reporting for duty.